Welcome to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with Rebecca Hall Gruyter. In our program each week, we provide the tools, ideas, and encouragement to help you move ahead on your journey, becoming a more powerful and impactful woman in your own life. Now here's your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you are having an amazing day. Excited to be connecting in with you. And we are in February. And I have been amazed at how quickly January has gone. And here we are in February. And this is a month that can be full of love and emotions and connections and even reflection. Sometimes we are checking back in and looking at what has led us to today and what are we wanting to really bring forward in 2025 and beyond. So I think we're at a perfect place to take a moment today, to take some time today and really stop and pause and really take a moment for you. I can feel that acceleration that happens in all of our lives as the year starts to take on that momentum. And it's so important to remember to stop and pause, because I've discovered the key to really bringing forward those things that matter most to you is being mindful, being deliberate, making choices that align with what you're wanting to bring forward. And if we're always going and reacting, you can't be deliberate, you can't be purposeful. And remembering to stop and pause. And with all the emotions that we can have during February, I want to invite you to really, as you're pausing, give yourself love, support, appreciate who you are and what has led you to this very moment. Because it's not by accident. There is something here for you today in the conversation, in bringing your energy to the show today, and I want you to receive everything that is here for you. So as we're pausing, take a deep breath in through the nose. Picture it going all the way to your toes, and then out through your mouth, like through a straw. Imagine as you're breathing those deep breaths in, all that support and energy and oxygen coming to every cell in your body, and breathing out, creating room and space for more as you release what no longer serves. We think it's released, and we create room and space for more. As you're breathing, I invite you to put both hands on your heart and notice your heartbeat. And as you're noticing that heartbeat, notice the pause in between the beats. And what is it whispering you to today? What is it saying and sharing? That pause as you connect in with your heart. What is it that you need today that will encourage you, empower you, support you on your journey? What are you looking for? Receive that information. Take another deep breath. Come back into the room, eyes open, fully present. And I invite you to take a moment and write down what was laid on your heart. What it is that you need. What is it that your heart shared with you this morning? And what does that kind of bring up for you? Just take a moment and capture that information. And as you look at what it is you need, I'm going to invite you to just take that one notch deeper. What are you willing to receive? Because you have choice. So we're not talking about how, we're talking about what, and what you are willing to receive, and just see if that shifts that information at all. Beautiful. So as we're breathing, as we're connecting, I just want to welcome each and every one of you today. I invite you to keep that page in front of you because I know with the tips, wisdom, and insight that our guest is going to share with you today that you'll have a page full of notes. So make sure to have your paper and favorite writing utensil handy and keep this information in front of you that we can build on it and support you throughout our time together today. We're so thrilled to have you joining us. And I want to bring our guest aboard and just have her share for a moment. Carrie, I'd love for you to share when you took a moment to stop, pause, and listen. What was laid on your heart?
Good morning, and thank you, Rebecca, and hi, everyone. So many things. It's so beautiful to be alive right now, and I was thinking about how Valentine's Day is one of my favorite days, and that's tomorrow. And there's a lot of love in my life. I'm very grateful for that. But Valentine's Day gives me a chance to really focus that feeling of love. So that's what came up for me.
I love that. And I love that that's one of your favorite days. I don't always hear that. That's beautiful. and it's a day then we can come together and just hold that beautiful love energy with you and share that out. So I'm excited we're getting to connect near one of your favorite days. It's perfect. I love it. Well, as you drink in that feeling of love and really hold that in your heart, we are getting ready to go to our first commercial break. And as we do so, I invite you to stay present, really listen to what is being laid on your heart and spirit as we're connecting in, and just sit for a moment using these 2 minutes just for you. And we'll continue our conversation in just a moment.
Follow Voice America at facebook.com/Voice America for juicy updates from your favorite radio shows and podcasts.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Voice America programs are now available on your favorite connected device, including Amazon, Alexa, and Google Home. Through streams with Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio, listening to your favorite show is as easy as saying the show name followed by the word podcast.
Hey, Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast.
If that doesn't work, try adding on TuneIn or on iHeartRadio or on Apple Podcasts.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes. Isn't it amazing how different we can feel just taking those 2 minutes and being present, being still, and breathing? That's enough in those 2 minutes, and it can really center us and recharge us. So I'm going to invite you. We have these 2 minutes moments built throughout the show on purpose to give you an opportunity to process, to receive everything that is being shared with you today. So I encourage you to look forward to those 2-minute moments, really drink them in today. And that's actually a tip you can take forward whenever you're at a stoplight or you have a little more time in line. You can just take a 2-minute moment for you and really use that time to center, become present, and support you. Very excited to introduce our guest. She has some exciting news. She's going to be announcing and sharing with us too some of what she's going to be bringing into the world. And I'm just excited for you to meet this wonderful expert and learn a little bit about who she is and what she's bringing to the world. I think you'll be inspired and encouraged by all that she has to share. Her name is Carrie Casey West, and she is an author, a sought-after speaker, a life story coach who uses her entertainment industry experience to support clients with their life and business stories. She is passionate about helping people and businesses change their stories to step powerfully into their success. Please lean in. Warmly welcome the dynamic, powerful, and heart-centered Carrie Casey West to the show. Welcome.
I have no idea what to say to that. You've left me speechless, and that doesn't happen often.
Well, I warmly welcome you, lift you up, and very excited to hear what you have to share with us today. And one of the things I always like to start our conversation with is why? Why is this work of helping people really look at their stories, change their stories? Why is that personally so important to you?
That is a great question, and it started for me when I really started to understand how stories saved my life, and stories kept me alive through some very difficult times, even as a child. And as I grew and started putting this together in a more definitive way, I thought, I wonder how other people would respond to this. So I started sharing it with friends and family and some clients at the time, and it just really captured the hearts and imagination of the people I was sharing this idea with, that our lives are really these grand epic stories. And, we can be as dramatic and wild as we want, or we can be as happy and wonderful as we want. So that set me on a path to really develop this concept and idea that I talk about in my book.
I love that. And the stories, when you started to look at it this way, they just really helped save your life and shift your course. So that is something I know many people will definitely want to learn more about. How can looking at their stories shift where they are and where they're wanting to go? And I love this reminder that we are kind of in charge. It can be dramatic and crazy, wild story, or it can be joyful, smooth. Like, we have choices in that on how our story is going to unfold. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about this. So what role does storytelling play in shaping our identity, shaping how we're showing up in the world?
That's an interesting idea. The whole concept of story is one that's come with us through the ages. Even pre-verbal, when we were living in caves and fighting for our food every day, we entertained each other by telling stories of the day. Even if it was nonverbal, we had images. They find images in caves where they show a track of a story, and we relate to people, we communicate, and we communicate through stories. I was at a wedding, and we were all sitting at a table where people were the random friends of the bride or groom, and you sit down and you say, "So, how was your flight?" And you look for a common thing that you can talk about, and then it turns into a story. "Oh, I was on that flight and it was so crowded," and then it's like, "Oh yeah, I can relate to that." So stories are a great way to relate to each other. Couple that with the fact that our brains are inherently organized and they strive for coherence. A story helps that, because a story has a beginning, middle, and an end, and it's a great way for your brains to organize information. So putting those two things together, you have an already built-in foundation in your mind and in your psyche to be natural storytellers and to see and live your life as a story, even if you don't actually recognize and acknowledge that all the time.
I'm sitting here listening and kind of drinking in what you're sharing, and I can so picture all around the table at a wedding and seeing that story start to come together as people share and creates that bridge and that connection. Mm-hmm. I'm also thinking that we can have different perspectives when we look at our life and how we perceive the events that unfold in our life. So the way we tell our story, the way we look at things in our life, how does that connect with us in a positive way, or perhaps it can be a harmful way in how we're telling our story or how we are looking and receiving and our perspective, I guess, on how we see our story?
If you think about the day you're born, you're completely naked and shocked at the sudden light and all the sound and noise that's around you. And then all of a sudden you're put in a space with all these large people that are there to take care of you, or you hope they're there to take care of you. So as you start to adjust to being in the world, you start to understand the story that you've been born into. I sometimes say it's like you walk into a play in the second act and you have to figure out what was going on before you walked into the play. And so you want to make sense of it. So you observe, people and their dramas. You observe your parents having a conversation, or your siblings, or if you have siblings, or whatever is going on around you. And that starts to formulate in your mind. So you start to develop, first of all, language. You pick up on whatever language, English, German, French, Spanish, wherever you are, and that becomes your first sense of belonging as you start to develop the same language. But then you start to accept the ideas and the notions and the ideologies that are given to you. So you start to learn, like for me, I always say one of the first things my parents ingrained in me was the story of a female's place in the world. You're a young lady, you must behave this way, you must be quiet, you must not be rambunctious. Whereas my brother was given the story, you're a young man, go and break your arm and fall and do things that little boys do. So we are given these notions of who we are and what life is about through story. And those become a foundation for the stories we start to build for ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's really, really helpful. I appreciate that. And some of what I'm hearing is you're kind of given some of these stories, you take on some of these stories in your role as a little girl or a young boy of how to be in the world. And as we grow, can some of that shift, or how do we start to form our own view of who we are in the world?
This is where it can be challenging, because I know for me, every time I went against the grain, my mother just wanted me to get married. That was her big thing for me, is getting married, get a husband, get a family, and a very traditional role. My parents were first generation Americans, and so they were very, very traditional in the roles that they thought their children should have. And I wanted to go to college. And my parents were just appalled that why didn't I marry my boyfriend? Why do I want to go to college? Am I going to be a teacher? That's the only great career for a teacher, for a woman, is a teacher. And it's like, no, I think I'm going to study medicine. Oh my God, medicine. Why? Where did we go wrong? So I started to get this notion. In fact, my mother called me the black sheep of the family. I was the rebel, and they wanted to bring me back into the fold. And so I took on this persona, and I became this character of the rebel in my own story. And so when I work with my clients, I have them start to uncover the different characters that they become throughout their lives in order to mostly fit in. We all want to have a sense of belonging and fitting in. And we've taken on these characters in our lives, and the people around us become the other characters. So I started to see myself as the rebel protagonist while my mother was the antagonist, and who did battle with me to try to keep keep me on the path she wanted while I wanted to be on my path.
Thank you for sharing. And as you have gone on your journey, have you shifted the roles or characters that you represent, that you bring into your life, that you choose to be, or have those continued to become stronger as you continued forward?
Well, it's so funny because I was talking to a friend the other day and I said, I feel like I'm on my 50th incarnation in this life. So I have a whole new character persona that's there. I think we have a basic foundational persona. And that's where we know that we're good people and we're honest and we're trustworthy and we have a belief in family and community and what we mean to have spirit in our lives and what that looks like. We build the other personas like we have and or characters. Personas or characters. We have the work character, we have the partner character, we have the wife or mother, the spouse character, we have the mom or dad character. And so we take on those other roles in addition to it. My latest role is author and speaker. So I've just been taking on that role and that character in the last 4 years. So yeah, you do develop it, but it doesn't change the foundational character that I am as I see myself as a good, caring person, a strong person who came through so much in my life that it's made me very determined to get through these next few years and to develop the goals and the skills that I want for this next incarnation who I want to be.
I love it. Well, and I love that we can add these additional dimensions and characters and skills. It creates a very rich experience. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about what you're bringing forward. Your powerful book, as you mentioned, author is one of the things, and I shared that in intro. I'd love for you to share how what we've been talking about ties into this beautiful book that you are bringing forward.
Well, that's part of the reason why I wrote the book was I saw my whole life unfold as this epic. It's Lord of the Rings over multiple books, and it's still being written. Every day I write a new chapter, and so I decided that I would put it into a book format where I would be able to share with people in a very concise way what the high view of how you can look at you as the author of your life, and therefore rewrite it, create a new script. You don't have to throw away the old one. You keep it on the shelf, but you get out more paper and pencil and write a whole new story for the person you want to be now. Beautiful. And going forward. So I wrote my book as a way to inspire people to go on the journey with me to become the authors of their lives.
That is so powerful that we can, and I like that we don't have to throw it away. We can put it on the shelf and then add and create who we are wanting to be and to become. And what does that look like? That we can really proactively help write that. It doesn't have to happen to us. We can choose and create and learn and discover and become who we are wanting to become. So do you mind sharing just the title of your book, when it's coming out? I always like everybody to mark it on their calendar. So just so everybody knows, has that paper and pen ready? There will be a special rate the first 24 to 48 hours that this book is first released. So you want to make sure you're putting this on your calendar. We're going to be helping share it out. We're very excited about it coming forward. And I want to make sure nobody comes back to me and say this, they wish they would have known. So Carrie, what is the date?
The book Life Rewritten will be out March 11th. So that's in 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
Yes. Just around the corner. I know.
Yes.
Goes so fast. So March 11th, special rate, that first 24 to 48 hours. So make sure everybody puts that on the calendar. And we are getting ready to go to our next commercial break. And when we come back, we'll continue our conversation. But I want you to think about how every day you could write a new chapter. Who's it you want to be? What character do you want to play in your life? Just see what starts bubbling up and we'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
A little birdie told me Voice America is on X. Follow us at Voice America TRN.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Have you become a member yet? Sign up now to become a member of Voice America. It's always free and easy. Plus, you get to take advantage of some great member benefits. Get unlimited access to millions of hours of on-demand content across all of our channels. Keep track of your favorite episodes, shows, and hosts in your own customizable library. Find out what shows you might be interested in based on your favorites. Plus, you get insider access with our newsletter. Membership gives you more. Sign up at voiceamerica.com and click Register at the top right.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes and that opportunity to sit with, wow, if I can write a new chapter, a new story, a new character every day, what does that look like? What is it I'm wanting to become? Where do I want things to go? And you may have surprised yourself with some of the answers. Maybe it was on the dramatic and crazy and extreme side, or it was more on a peaceful calm. We can have such a range of who we want to be, how we want to be, the characters we become and bring into our world. And I know for myself, I could just feel creativity and kind of joy and even fun bubbling up within me when I played with that a little bit. And I think that's a really powerful creative energy, that fun and that joy, and really looking at and interacting with your life in a joyful, fun, playful way. And I'm curious, Carrie, as we look at that and we're sitting with that, what do you find is that, for me, I could find that joy and behind it creativity and fun, like it took pressure off and made it less heavy and lighter. I'm curious when you work with your clients, what their experience is when they kind of sit with that idea.
It's funny. The first thing they do is go, what? What? It's this massive aha moment of what their life has been and how they can really just unlock the door and walk out into freedom. And in some cases, there's really no door. You know, you're in a prison cell that has no doors, but you still keep yourself there. But when you can look at how the roles, the characters you've been and the characters you've brought into your life, and then understand that sometimes the other characters, like when I started to understand that my mother had her own story and she had a terrible, terrible childhood and life. And it was, I had such compassion for her because no wonder she was not the best mother in the world, not even in the top 10 billion. But she was living the story that was given to her and didn't have the tools or the skills to break free of it. When I discovered that, when I understood her character, I had such compassion that it opened my heart and I was able to set myself free. And that's what I see a lot of people, a lot of my clients go through when they understand the roles of their parents or their ex-spouses or whoever it is in their lives. And sometimes characters aren't people. I had a client working with following up on an accident and was dealing with this terrible insurance company that was fighting her every step of the way, and that became a character in her story, this insurance company. So when you see what they're doing and why they're doing it, it can set you free.
And how powerful that is to shift feeling trapped or a victim or hard or heavy, even that anger, frustration, whatever it is, that angst that you have in that relationship, and being able to shift that in your perspective and have a different kind of energy, whether it's compassion, understanding, aha, I get that. Now I choose this kind of way to show up can make such a difference. And I know some of this is covered and touched on in your book and some of why you are bringing it to the world. And I'm curious, as you sit here and your book's coming out in just a few weeks, I know this is a very busy time. I appreciate you taking a moment to share with us as you're looking ahead at your book going out to the world. And I'm curious what your intention is or what you're really hoping the ripple it'll create in the world for people.
The biggest thing is I want everybody to feel free. When I think about how my life started, and there's times I wake up and I say, I can't believe I'm here. I mean, literally, my mom almost killed me 3 times as a child, as an infant, and I'm sitting here looking around. I have a beautiful home. I have a partner that adores me. I have a dog that just rules my life, and I have never felt at peace like I do now. And that's what I want for everybody. If I can have that, anybody can. And I do think we need that in the world today. I think people are scared and feeling the energetic chaos that's all around us. And no matter your political stance, it's a question of, I think as human beings, we all want to have a world where we feel safe and we feel productive and we can provide for our families and we have what we need to have a successful, happy life. Well, I hope my book will start getting people to see that you can have that.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. I can feel the intention, the heartbeat, in a sense, behind what you're bringing forward, and what a gift this is and will be for so many. And one of the things, I know we're on radio, so this is more of an audio type format. I'd love to give a visual too. So we talked about your coming out on March 11th, just making sure everybody has that on their calendars. And I'd love for you to describe the cover so people have a visual and image and why the cover looks like it does.
Well, designing book covers, I talked to several people about it and what do you come up with and what's the right thing. And because the book is part memoir, some people said I should be on the cover, and I just didn't like that notion. I wanted to have something that was very striking. And so I talked to a book designer and she was amazing, and she came back with all these ideas, and some it was a typewriter with, life rewritten, and others were very great captions and black and white. But when she showed me this image with the golden feather on black, my heart just said yes. And when you have that feeling of your heart saying yes to something, you go with it. So as I thought about it, because my heart said yes, and I thought about it, and I thought, this to me represented hope. This to me represented the fact that a pen can be a quill, so it looked a little bit like a quill that you can write with, and that we're writing instruments hundreds of years ago or 100 years ago, and in this golden form, it showed hope, and that it was a very powerful image where people would feel that this process could work, that they could really rewrite their lives. So it was done. That became the cover.
I love it. And I like that it's gold and something valuable that our story is becoming, and even that it can take flight and soar, that we can do that. I just felt like it captured so many amazing concepts in that very clear, powerful design. So
And I'll be
ahead.
curious to hear what people think when they see the cover, and if they have any comments. If any of you on the show have any comments, please drop me a line and let me know what you think about it, because I think it can work on so many levels, and I think it's going to mean a lot of different things to different people.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that's beautiful. So listeners, there's an interaction point that you can lean into. We'll make sure to share, Carrie share her contact information a little bit later in the show, so you can make sure to do that connection and follow up and keep connected with our powerful guest. And one of the things that you mentioned early in the show in our opening was about Valentine's Day, and how this is one of your favorite times of year. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day, so it's just around the corner for us here, those of you listening to the show live. And you also mentioned kind of behind the scenes that it wasn't always your favorite day. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about this, and how does this tie into our stories, and how can we tie into that powerful love energy?
It's so interesting because I was not raised in a world of love. You know, my parents' idea of love was duty and responsibility and taking care of and taking actions. Love was not. They said I loved you as in that meant you owe me or you had to do something for me. And so I was not raised with an idea that love was what it really is, which is something very special and pure, and actually love is who I've come to understand, that love is who we are on a visceral level, that on an energetic being level we are love. But I wasn't given that message when I was growing up, and so I rarely dated. In fact, I never really had a boyfriend until I was 55 years old. I met Simon, and we became friends first, and then when I was 55 years old, he announced that he thinks he'd been in love with me for quite some time, and it scared me to the core. And here we are many, 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 many years later. And like I said, I have this great partner. I have this amazing dog that when I think about how much I love him, I cannot contain how big my heart gets. And that's opened me up to love in such a bright way, in a way I never experienced until my 50s. So I it really is, and we're going to celebrate. We won't celebrate tomorrow because we have stuff to do, but on Saturday we're going to have this big celebration, the three of us, me, Simon, and the pup, and we're gonna celebrate. And we always love doing this. It's become our tradition since we got the puppy. It was a tradition before, but it's just something we really have embraced. And it all started by this one person saying to me, "I think I love you."
I love that, and how our hearts can expand when love is shared with us. And you're right, animals have such an amazing way of going right to our heart and just
Don't
feeling.
they?
It is. It's such an amazing gift and blessing, I believe, in our lives, that connection with animals, and how they just expand our heart. And we feel that love, and then we're able to share it with more. And so now with this tradition, this has become, you've rewritten the story. It's become a one of your favorite days and times of year to come together and share love.
Exactly, and that's the whole point. I never ever 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 thought I'd written it off. I thought I'm okay being by myself. I've got a great life. I'm pretty happy. I've got things. I've got friends, but I never considered myself and the kind of person that was interested in love. And I had friends, but I never considered when they would always say, love you. It's like, oh, okay, love you. And it was empty to me. And all of a sudden, and by the way, I've really looked at what love is, and I'm working on that aspect of it, because I have this whole new feeling about love and what it means. And I never even considered this 20, 30 years ago. So if I can rewrite love, anybody can.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I so appreciate that. And I'm also thinking, sometimes this time of year can be sensitive because of all the emotions and cards and movies and flowers. And we might be in a situation that's a little bit challenging in a relationship with someone, or even in that relationship with ourselves, and really loving ourselves too. Do you have any sort of a tip or piece of advice you can share with anyone that's maybe struggling a little bit with love or with self-love right now?
I think that we confuse love with relationships. I think love can be very easy. You can love somebody, but being in relationship with them, that's what's hard. Even in being in relationship with yourself, because let's face it, that's our first and primary relationship, is with ourselves. And if you have a contentious relationship with yourself, a great example of that is, I've often said to people, if I had a friend who treated me like I treat myself, and the negative self-talk and how I beat myself up when I make a mistake and I don't accept that I'm human, I wouldn't be friends with that person. And yet this voice goes on in my head. And I think that happens to a lot of people. We make a mistake and it's like, oh my God, we've become the worst person on the planet. So it's the relationship, and understanding that being in relationship is different than saying, I love you. We do love ourselves, but we get caught up in the relationship we have with ourselves. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense, and really stopping and kind of looking at that, untangling it a little bit can be really powerful, and then choosing. And I love this concept of how you are correct. Sometimes the way we talk to ourselves, the way we treat ourselves, what we expected of ourselves, we would never put on anyone else. And yet we do that to ourselves. And so I think that's really good to take a look at too, and perhaps find ways to be kind and supportive and understanding to ourselves, just like we are with others. And I think that is important to take a look at. Well, we are getting ready to go to our next commercial break. And as we do so, listeners, I invite you to sit and be present and really think about all these different things that we've talked about, to see what is bubbling up for you, see how this is shifting some of what you put on your paper at the beginning of our conversation. We'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Voice America is on LinkedIn. Connect with us today.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
You need to live up to your full potential. You've heard that for years, but now there's a channel to help you get there. Introducing the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Our listeners have told us that they want to be motivated, hear about success stories, and positive encouragement around the clock. And we've responded to you. The Voice America Empowerment Channel is the home of the world's top life coaches, entrepreneurs, and success experts. Listen to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. It's here at voiceamericaempowerment.com.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Find out what makes the most successful people tick. Keep listening to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed those 2 minutes and just really thinking about reflecting on those things that struck your heart and spirit as we've gone through our conversation today. And I wanted to have Carrie share her contact information so that you can really have that connection with her. You can go deeper. We've touched on so many things that I know I'm like, oh, I want to talk more about that, or we can go more into this. There's so many things that you can connect with and explore with Carrie. We wanted to make sure that you had her contact information. So if I can make sure everybody has your writing utensil ready. And Carrie, do you mind sharing again the full title of your book, when it's coming out, so everybody has it on their calendar, and the best way for people to connect in and go deeper?
Great. Yes, my book is called Life Rewritten, and it'll be out March 11th. You can reach out to me via my website, which is carriekcwest.com. That's Carrie, letter K is, I don't know what K is in, KCWEST.com. And there's a contact form there and an email that you can reach out to me. And I would love to hear from you, and I'd also love to connect with you. And I definitely want your feedback on the book cover.
Beautiful. And if they get on your form, will that put them on a list where they can get sent that special link when the book's released?
Yes. Okay. We have all kinds of links everywhere that you can sign up, and you'll be a part of the future announcements, not only with the book, but it's some workshops that I'm doing that dive into some of the concepts I'm talking about here today in a lot greater detail.
I love it. You have so much you're sharing and bringing to the world. It's exciting to see. And I hope everybody wrote that contact information down. And just as I shared, there's so much that Carrie is bringing to the world. I wanted to just give a preview. What's coming next that they can be watching for and be following you on?
Well, one of the reasons why I like the title Life Rewritten is it's given me a space to expand into other areas. So I've developed what I've called the Rewritten series. So the next book out will be Love Rewritten, and that's where I'm going to dive into these ideas of love and how it can be such a vibrant part of your life, and why it may not be right now, and how you can get that back and get into it, and most importantly, helping people understand that you love somebody and sometimes you're in relationship with them and you're not having a great time. So can we move beyond that and just stick with the love?
Beautiful. That's exciting. So workshops, we have the Rewritten series, and the next one is focused on love, which is so powerful. And boy, the more love we can give ourselves and others in the world, I think just what a powerful shift that can be all around for ourselves and others. So very excited.
And think about what that'll do for the world if we could all clear out all of the beliefs we have about what love is and what it means, and really embrace love for each other. I'm hoping that'll heal some of this divisiveness that's going on in the world today.
Exactly. And any other previews you want to give us of things to come that we can be watching for?
Sure. And then I'm doing a book called Business Rewritten and Money Rewritten, because we all have some strange relationships with money too. We can break down all these old characters, old feelings, and old stories we have around some very important areas of our lives. And that's again the key. I started out with Life Rewritten because that's an overview and that brings in all the concepts of a story. And now we'll start taking it apart and applying it to some very important aspects of life that we're all engaged in.
Wonderful. Well, I'm excited for each of these pieces to come forward. And March 11th, I'm going to be getting my copy as well of Life Rewritten and adding that to my bookshelf. So I'm just excited for your book to come out into the world. Thank you so much for sharing these insights and shifting some of our perspective on how we look at things. And I think even the awareness of perhaps taking a look at how we look at things and what are the characters we're taking on, the stories we are choosing to live, the stories we are telling ourselves, and how do we perhaps want to shift that to be more aligned with who we truly are and who we want to be in the world. And I'm just curious, as we're coming to the end of our show and you're reflecting back on that conversation, do you have any final tip or piece of advice or reminder you would like to give our listeners today?
I think one of the greatest concepts of storytelling that everybody I think can benefit from right away is this idea of point of view or perspective. You know, you always say, who's telling the story? Who's the narrator? And yeah, are we observing a story and watching the protagonist, or are we telling the story from our perspective? When you tell a story from your perspective, it goes through your filters. So what if you could step outside that story, or what if you could talk to the other people that you're engaging with and find out how they're reliving the events that you have? It's an incredibly powerful tool. When my sister and I talk about some of the stuff that happened to us as kids, it's amazing to me that we have different perspectives on some of the experiences that we had, that we shared. We were in the same room, and her filters brought her to a different way of looking at it than my filters did. So when you think about your point of view and your perspective on the stories, take a moment and think about other people in your life and how would they tell that same exact story? What would it look like? And that'll give you a lot of information.
Powerful. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. I'm just sitting here and thinking about my journey a little bit with curiosity. And I wonder how people would see certain things and experience them. And I know when I've had those conversations with people, it is different. They're different filters, different perspectives, same experience, same room, and yet a very different way of perceiving and seeing it. And it expands your view, gives you more information, and perhaps even I find sometimes unlocks a little bit something that may have been locked in me because of the way I saw something or experienced something.
Yes.
And that can be really powerful.
It tells you your filters, that's for sure.
Exactly. Well, Carrie, thank you for joining us today. I'm so appreciative, very excited about your book coming out on March 11th. And we look forward to continuing to stay in touch with all the beautiful things that you're bringing forward to support people in this area. So thank you for being you and for the work you're bringing to the world.
And thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for taking the time and bringing me on the show. I love doing these conversations with people. And thank you to all your listeners. I look forward to hearing from a bunch of you. So, yes.
Oh, well, thank you. We appreciate it. And listeners, thank you for leaning in and bringing your energy to our conversation. And we definitely look forward to hearing from you as well. And remember, as you get ready to go back out into the world, take a couple moments for you. You don't have to rush. The day doesn't get to be in charge. You are. Don't let the day tell you differently. And take a moment and really drink in some of the insights, the ahas that have happened during our time together, and see how that shifts how you choose to step forward today. Take those few moments for you. before you rush back into the day, and you get to choose how you show up. You get to choose the character you're playing in your story. Remember that you're an amazing gift, absolutely needed in this world. There's no one else just like you. For such a time as this, the biggest gift you can give the world is more of you, who you truly are. Be willing to bloom where you're planted and shine. Have an amazing week, everyone, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for joining us this week for Empowering Women, Transforming Lives. Please tune in again for another edition with your host, Rebecca Hall-Gruyter,
Next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, on the Voice America Empowerment Channel, with a replay on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Variety Channel.
Have a beautiful week, and may you always bloom where you're planted and shine.